So this is going to be our 3D pelvis protocol. What this is all about is mastering movement in all three planes of motion. The first thing that we're going to start off with is going to be our frontal plane hip lock position. We'll get into the exercise in a minute, but what it's going to look like essentially is I want to be able to control internal rotation of my hip without having swaying through my pelvis. This area right here is what's going to be doing most of the work on my left leg, and then my glute on my standing leg is going to be locked out and doing work as well to balance me out. When I go through this, some people are going to want to get a big hitch out like so. Some people are going to want to collapse through here. What I need you to do is control that postural alignment and not let anything get too wonky or too pushed out of place. So grab a light resistance band to start. It's going to go on the heels, right around the laces area. You don't want to go too heavy on this resistance to start because right in this area can get worn out the first time you do this especially. We don't want to do too much too fast. So we'll use this or something to hold on to. We can take my outside arm and lift up really high. Then I'll take that same side and I'll drive the knee just like I would with a normal banded hip flexor march. From here, I'm going to get internal rotation of that hip, get locked out on my glute for my standing leg, and we're going to hold this position for 5 to 10 seconds. And we're then going to go for 5 reps. Controlling my pelvis, controlling my stance leg, and controlling that hip. Again, right here and right here. Our next exercise is going to be the hip airplane. This is all about controlling movement in the transverse plane. I'll show you this from both sides because it can be a little tricky to just get from one angle. So I'll start off with the leg that's closest to us. We're going to go up onto a bench or a box. I'll hold on to my med ball, a little bit of a squat or bend through that knee, and then a bit of a hinge forward from here. So to start off, I'm going to use the ball so that I make sure that my shoulders are actually turning through the movement. And some people would just, in some cases, just want to move their arms here. We're going to wrap around the ball. I'm then going to turn into this as much as I can. I want to think about this hip and my pelvis shifting towards that knee. So get into this. As much rotation as I can get. And now notice my foot opens up on the bench. This knee stays still. I don't let this knee come with the movement. I open up my hips as much as I can. And then I turn right back into the movement again. I'll go one more. It's all about learning the movement, learning the skill of movement, feeling it where you're supposed to feel it. In this case, it's all in the hips, baby. So I'll set up in the same way here. Bend the knee, hinge it forward, turn in as much as I can. Challenge the range of motion of the pelvis. Controlled turn out. Keeping my knee facing forward the whole time and not letting it come wrong for the ride. It's an exercise that looks and seems super simple, but when you're doing it right, you're doing it with intent, it can become very difficult, very challenging. So that is the airplane, transverse plane that we're working in there. The last exercise that is going to be part of this level 1 of our 3D pelvis protocol is going to be similar to a cat-cow position that people have probably seen a lot in yoga. We're going to add a band to this to really challenge anterior and posterior pelvic tilt control of the pelvis in the sagittal plane. So I'll turn this way. You're going to want a medium resisted band. From here, we're going to just twist one side of it. So it's a bit of a figure 8 loop, essentially. I'll then take one side and put it right down to my knee, and then do the same right over there. All right, goofy setup, I know. We'll then get into all fours, Knees are right underneath my hips, and then my shoulders are right in line with my wrists and in the front of the body down here. All right, so do it as you would a normal cat-cow position. So I'm going to drop my belly. I'm going to think about reaching my tail up to the ceiling. I'm then going to think about tucking my tail and shifting my pelvis underneath me. I want to have minimal movement through my spine and my shoulders. I don't want to get up all like this, okay? So that is the difference between a normal cat-cow. Drop the belly, lots of anterior pelvic tilt here. Control the shoulders, separate movement from the lower half and the upper half, and tuck that tail underneath you. Bit of a pause, and then back down. This takes a lot of mental focus to really get the movement right. Some people will probably be challenged with this movement a lot for it to even make sense to them because it takes a lot of mind-muscle connection. Tilt the pelvis, tail up to the sky. Tuck the pelvis and tuck the tail underneath. That's one where we go about 8 to 10 reps for each pelvic position through that one. And that is, again, we're working to control the pelvis in the sagittal plane with that movement. And with those 3 exercises is level 1 of our 3D pelvis protocol. We got many levels that we can go on from there as we progress through the program and through more challenging exercises, and we get a better mind-muscle connection. We start being able to control our movement a little bit more. We can start gradually increasing the difficulty, the intensity, and the intent behind all these movements. But with that is level 1 of our 3D pelvis protocol.